It was a sunny afternoon, and Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia were playing in Isabella's garden, surrounded by flowers and butterflies. Lavinia, with a sparkle in her eye, suggested that Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia imagined they were magical explorers on a mission to discover the lost fairy kingdom. Excited by the idea, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia quickly began preparing for their adventure. Isabella picked up a tree branch and turned it into a magic wand. Pedro grabbed a blanket and declared it his enchanted cloak, while Lavinia found a small mirror and transformed it into a glowing amulet. In the blink of an eye, a magical portal appeared in Isabella's garden, leading to an enchanted forest. Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia, now brave magical explorers, adjusted their gear and eagerly stepped through the portal into a world full of magic and wonder. At the start of their journey, the trio encountered a glowing forest. The tall trees shimmered with colorful lights, but the path was filled with thorns and thick bushes. Pedro, using his navigation skills, suggested that Lavinia's glowing amulet could be used to find a safe route. With Lavinia guiding the light of the amulet, Lavinia, Pedro, and Isabella managed to clear the path and continue their journey safely. A little further along, the trio heard a gentle chime and saw tiny lights dancing in the air. Isabella, with her fearless spirit, suggested that the three friends follow the lights to find the fairy kingdom. Carefully, the trio followed the glowing lights until they reached a clearing where the three friends saw a group of unicorns grazing peacefully. The clearing was vibrant, filled with colorful flowers and butterflies fluttering all around. As Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia marveled at the scene, a tiny fairy appeared. The tiny fairy looked frightened and explained to Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia that her kingdom was in danger from an evil witch lurking in the forest. Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia promised to help the tiny fairy and set off with the tiny fairy deeper into the magical woods. Their path led Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia to a rainbow river cutting across their way. At the crossing stood a magical bridge guarded by a wise elf. To cross, the wise elf presented a riddle: "I am a precious treasure that cannot be seen. I am more powerful than a king, yet more fragile than a flower." The wise elf posed the riddle: "What am I?" The three friends pondered deeply until Pedro shouted with excitement, "It's friendship." The elf beamed with approval and permitted Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia to cross the magical bridge. As Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia continued their journey, they caught sight of a crystal castle and heard enchanting melodic music emanating from within. Intrigued by the music, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia ventured into the castle and discovered a gathering of fairies in a stunning garden. The tiny fairy joyfully reunited with her companions and recounted her story. The fairies explained to Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia that their kingdom was safeguarded by a crystal flower that maintained balance and harmony among all magical beings. At the peak of the castle, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia found the crystal flower glowing with a radiant, colorful light. Suddenly, dark, stormy clouds gathered over the castle, threatening the kingdom's peace. Among the clouds, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia saw the wicked witch flying on her broom. Pedro, thinking quickly, suggested that Isabella use her magic wand to scare the witch away. Isabella pointed her wand at the evil witch, freezing the witch midair. Lavinia swiftly adjusted the crystal flower, directing its beam of light at the witch, transforming the witch into a frog. The dark clouds dispersed, and harmony was restored to the fairy kingdom. As a token of gratitude, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia were invited to meet the fairy queen. The Fairy Queen, a majestic figure with dazzling wings, thanked Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia for their bravery and hosted a grand celebration to honor the peace that had been restored in Isabella's garden. Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia laughed and hugged, overjoyed by their magical adventure. The three friends learned that with courage, friendship, and determination, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia could overcome any challenge, even protecting a magical kingdom. Eager for their next adventure, Isabella, Pedro, and Lavinia promised to continue exploring together, allowing their imaginations to guide them to magical and unknown places in search of new mysteries and discoveries.